guys, to protect and serve you here with the OldSols Del Sol subreddit and at VTech of the Sun on Instagram. So today I'm going to be painting my valve cover wrinkle red with the VHT, and I'll show you all those later. I also think I'm going to pop off the heat cover here, paint that black just so it looks a little bit better. First step is going to be using the 10mm ratchet, and doing all 4 of these. Then you're going to want to pull the oil cap, obviously, grab a pair of pliers, and then just slide this off the breather. Then pull all of your spark plugs, or the covers here, the actual spark plugs stay in there. And then you just need a deep well 10 for these 4, and then the whole thing comes out. My engine's still a little bit hot, so I'm going to pull that off and let it sit for a second, and then we'll get back to it. Alright guys, so I got the valve cover off here. You're going to want to get a new gasket. I would. I think I got mine from Advance. I'll link everything in the description for the VTech or the B16 model anyway. But it's $27. Comes with not only this gasket, but around each of the 10mm were these rubber gaskets. So this is it off. Those little rubber ones were like here, 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 etc. So just throw this away is what I'm going to do. And then that way I can put in all new gaskets. I don't know shit about engines, but that looks pretty clean. I also literally just changed the oil, which is part of the reason the oil looks so good. Yeah, so I'm gonna go throw some aircraft paint remover on there. Let that sit there for about 15 minutes. After I get that on, I'll show you what it looks like, and then we'll start cleaning it off. All right guys, so I got the first layer of the aircraft paint remover on. That's what this is here. You get it at O'Reilly's, anywhere else. So you can already see it's doing a bunch of work. It's like a gel format. They have an aerosol one. I didn't want to get that because I didn't want to spray it and get it on my car or something else. So just dump it on there, let it do its work, and then you can see how much it's already come off just from me rubbing it in with the brush. So it says let it sit 10 to 15 minutes, and then use a plastic scraper or something like that to kind of get it off, and then if need be, apply a couple other coats. So we'll see if I need a second one. Alright guys, sorry about the dogs barking in the background. So this is after the first coat of the aircraft paint thinner. I was reading online to not do it in your driveway because it can kind of fuck up the concrete. So I'm on the side of my house here in the rocks. Yeah, so did obviously a pretty good job all around. I'm going to dry it off some paper towels here and then put it on the other spots. I just used one of these pry bars from Harbor Freight. They're like $4 for a pack of 4. Scraped the shit out of it. That got most of it out, like even in the cracks here. So I'll just put some more paint thinner on, or paint remover. Let it sit for another 10 minutes or so, and then if there's some little pieces like in here that you can't get, that's what the sanding and the angle grinding's for. So yeah, I'll be back after I put on another layer and try to get the rest of this off. Alright guys, so here she is after 2 coats of the paint thinner, I guess it is, the aircraft paint stuff. You can see I got most of it off. Some of this is pretty baked on. I mean, it was meant to stay on, and it's 21 years old, so it's going to take a bit. So what I'm going to do is I dried it off with a air blower because I don't have an air compressor yet. Then I'm going to put this on my drill. I have another one for my angle grinder, but the drill's a little bit more controllable. And then get all the rest of this off. And then once I get all the paint off, then I'm going to sand it down with probably like 600 grit so the primer has something to stick to. What I'm using for the primer is the VHT Flameproof. It's rated up to about 2,000 degrees right there. And then I chose the wrinkle red, which has that kind of Type R finish. They also have it in black, gray, orange, and blue, I think. Eventually I'll get a Type R cover, but this will be pretty sweet for now. That angle grinder will hopefully help take off a lot of the corrosion that's here. In here. So for now I'm just going to leave these polished once I get them all that way, and then the Honda symbol. I may eventually do some touch-up paint. I'm going for like a red gold kind of theme, so gonna go hang out for a bit and then I'll come back out. Totally unrelated. Put some new shop lights in the garage and some LEDs. So that allows me to actually work out here at night, which is pretty sweet. So I'll check back. Alright guys, so even with my new shop lights, there's still a little bit of a shadow, obviously. I need to put one right here, but that's a story for another time. So here is where we're at after the two coats of the paint stripper, and then taking sandpaper to it and a wire wheel brush on my drill. I was gonna use my angle grinder, but that spins a lot faster. I have a little more control with the drill too, and this is aluminum, so you don't want to gouge it too bad. I really only used the wire brush to get like the really hard parts that the sandpaper wasn't getting. Everything else I just sanded down with 220 grit, just enough to give it a grip. Like I said, the the wrinkle finish on these cans here is pretty forgiving, so it'll fill a lot of the cracks that with the primer. Yeah, you can still see there's some down here. It just is impossible to get to. It's not a show car. I'm gonna have my spark plug cover over it, so I'm not too concerned about it. Where the angle grinder or the wire brush really did help a whole bunch is the raised lettering here. So that was all this kind of like dingy brown color. And now that is nice and smooth, and that will really pop against the red. So I'm going to wash it down with some rubbing alcohol, which will evaporate pretty quick. Then I'm going to tape it all up. A little tip I've seen from everybody else is all of these holes here on the four corners and for the valve cover or the spark plug cover, you can just tape around a quarter, like blue painter's tape, cut around the quarter and it'll fit over there perfectly. So I'm going to do all that, and then I'm going to spray it tomorrow because it's pretty late here. Alrighty, so we're just about to start painting. Little taping tips. I tried to lay one piece of tape over like the whole Honda word, the whole Honda sign and everything, and cut it out. It looked like garbage and was just terrible. So after I did all of that, I ripped everything off. And then I actually did each individual letter. I put a piece of painter's tape over using an X-Acto knife and cut around it. It was a lot easier to tuck the edges on the side here. So I'm no painting expert, but that's what I'd recommend doing if you're going to tape it off. Another method I saw is just painting all the raised lettering and then going back with sanding. I was a little hesitant to that. Like I said, not a great painter, not a great sander, so I would rather just take the time to tape it off. These are the quarter tricks I was talking about. All the other things are just laying it over and using an X-Acto knife to cut around. So that took a good hour and a half probably. Might be faster for you if you're a little better. Then I also just decided to sand down the spark plug cover, and I have some bronze that I used on my wheel. I eventually plan on getting something else different, so I figured I'd just try it, maybe spice it up a little bit. So we're going to throw a primer on these two. Got the garage mostly cut off, got a little fan there to turn on for the paint to come out. Make sure you wear a breather mask if you're going to be in here. So yeah, we'll just start with that. Alright guys, so this is after the first coat of primer. Just a really light primer to give it some tackiness. Waited about 12 minutes. It says 10 minutes. I like to go just a little bit over. So you can see not a lot of coverage. Just try to get it everywhere. That way we have something to stick to on the other two coats. And then this is obviously relatively easy being plastic. So we're going to do coats 2 and 3, and then I'll come back after the final coat of primer, show you where we're at, and then we'll start with the color. Alright guys, this is after just the first coat with the wrinkle red. So this is a little different than normal spray paint, I realized. They actually want you to do 3 heavy coats with alternating angles. So 1 heavy coat all horizontally, so this way is the way I did it the first time. 1 coat vertically, and then 1 coat at like a cross stitch pattern. And it needs to be thick because that's how the wrinkle actually works, is it takes the thick paint and then kind of shrinks it down and wrinkles it. So that's the first one. I'm going to wait about 15 minutes. Then I'll do the vertical pass and then wait another 15 minutes and then do the cross stitch pass. And then it says to wait for a little bit longer. After a little bit of time, you can put it in an oven and bake it for an hour at 200, and they said that helps tighten up the wrinkles. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I have a buddy that has an oven specifically for Cerakoting guns and stuff. So I may go over to his house and throw it in there, but we'll kind of just let it do its thing naturally and see how it works out. Yeah, so I'll come back and check. Alright, so I applied all 3 coats. This is about an hour or so after the last coat. You can kind of see the wrinkles starting to form a little bit. It says it's a very slow drying paint. It's supposed to be 2 hours until the wrinkle finish actually starts to come out. And if it's uneven or something, you can add some more coats. This looks pretty even. I probably did 3.5 or 4 coats total. Put it on pretty heavy. And then it says don't touch it for 24 hours. So this is where it's going to sit for at least 24 hours. It's only about 55 here today in Colorado. So not the best drying paint conditions. May use a heat gun and kind of warm it up just a little bit. Yeah, so I will check back tomorrow. Hey guys, it's really late. It's about 2:30 in the morning. I'm just sitting at my kitchen table. This has been drying for about 12 hours. It's like, you can touch it, not hard obviously, but I figured now would be a good time to get the lettering off before it actually started to get really, really tacky and make it a little bit harder. So it's all peeled off pretty easily, as you can see. Looks really great. Decent taping job. A couple of the other little quarter size areas weren't the greatest, but for not being a painter, I am more than okay with it. I already peeled this up a little bit with the X-Acto knife. Just got it in here and kind of popped it up. This is probably one of the most satisfying things I've ever done. So I just wanted to get one on camera because it is glorious. Just the silver against the red. Oh, so nice. So I'll finish peeling it and then get a good shot in the morning. It is after everything is done. So 48 hours of drying. I did put it in the oven for 200 for an hour to bake the paint in. It just made the wrinkles a little bit tighter than they were. One of the things I did notice about the wrinkle paint is if you don't apply it evenly in the three patterns, vertical, horizontal, and the cross stitch, you'll get like this on the side. It doesn't look bad, it's just smooth because I didn't get enough on there to wrinkle. I'm honestly okay with it. Like there's a couple places where it's kind of smooth there. Overall it looks good. Like I said, not a show car, and for, you know, 10 bucks it took one can to do this, and I still have a little bit left over. Plus the can of the high temp primer, and then the aircraft paint remover. I think I'm like $29 in, so that compared to $300 for the OEM Honda one, I'm okay with that. You can also see that I did that bronze spark plug cover, which I think makes it pop a little bit. It's also the same color as my wheels. My car's dirty because it's been sitting outside, so it kind of matches those two together. But yeah, I think it makes the whole engine look really good. So I will link all the things I used in the description below, including the paints, the stock numbers. I got everything at O'Reilly's because there's one right by my house. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions, let us know. Check me out on Instagram at VTechOfTheSun, and then check out the car club page at OldSols Car Club on Instagram, OldSols YouTube page that you're on right now, and then on Reddit, subreddit of OldSols and subreddit of Del Sol. We're on there a lot. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Thanks.